In this video, I want to do something a little bit different than the typical layout update videos that I've done previously. I'm currently working on a few layout projects that I'd like to complete before I go ahead and do another layout update video. I figured this would be the perfect time to go ahead and introduce the locomotives and rolling stock that will be found on the layout moving forward. I want to focus on the locomotives first, looking at the VTR and then the GMRC locomotives, and then move on to the individual pieces of rolling stock. Now the locomotives have already been opened, and this is due to the fact that I wanted to go ahead and test the locomotives to see if they had any issues. But the rolling stock, the freight cars themselves, have not been opened. So we'll also go ahead and unbox each piece of rolling stock and look at them individually. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first locomotive that we're going to look at is Vermont Rail number 206. This is made by Atlas. I'm not sure if it's one that they still make or not. I found this unit on eBay, but I love the paint scheme, and I knew I had to have it. Now, this one turned out to be a little bit of a disappointment, primarily due to the fact that, and I don't know if you can tell, it's a little hard to see with the camera, but this area here, the shell and the stairs, is a little bit warped. And there's an issue, I don't know if I'm having trouble here kind of demonstrating that, but inside, something internal here is preventing this coupler from shifting side to side. Obviously that's not going to work if you need to couple two freight cars. So that's a bit of an issue there. And then the other issue is the front headlight doesn't work even though the wiring is intact inside. So that's something that I'm going to have to address. But other than that, those two small issues, this locomotive functions very well. Very smooth runner. The sound is fantastic. And it's just a fantastic looking locomotive. I'm still happy with this purchase overall. I just have a few issues that I have to address on it. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the next one, which is Vermont Rail 310. This is an Athearn Genesis model. This is a GP40-2, and this is by far my favorite locomotive out of the VTR fleet, at least. I just love the look of this. This is actually the first locomotive I've ever purchased that has ditch lights. So that was exciting. I actually didn't even know it had it when I bought it. I just love GP40-2 locomotives. The detail is fantastic. And the sound on this is really great as well. I mean, the detail, the sound, everything is great. Another fantastic model. Now this next one here, Vermont Rail number 301, I actually bought used. And you can see, hopefully, it is weathered. And you can see a little bit of difference there. There was a plow. It came off in the mail. I have to glue it back on. Now this is DCC but no sound. And it's a relatively smooth runner. But it could definitely be better. So I'm going to have to probably address some issues with that. I don't know how old this unit is. I believe this is an Atlas model as well, but it is going to require a little bit of work as well. The last one here for the Vermont Rail is one that I bought off a forum member of the forum that I'm a part of. This is a very old Athearn model. This is actually DC. And I only paid a few bucks for this, but I have some plans for this. And it actually does not entail keeping it as Vermont Rail. I wanted this locomotive as a GMRC locomotive. I believe it's number 1849 for the Green Mountain Railroad that has these torpedo tanks on the top. And I wanted to go ahead and do a repaint and also install a new motor, DCC, and sound. So that's a big project. That's one I've never even attempted. But for now, I think I'm going to run it as a dummy. The current motor in it is no good. So it's definitely a project for that. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Green Mountain locomotives next. The first one I've got here is an Atlas model. It's a GP40 number 305. Now this one was a project locomotive that I bought off of eBay, and it had some work to do on the front. The handrails here and the steps and the plow down here and the coupler release lever were all broken and had to be glued back together. Broken in several places actually. So I had to go ahead and rebuild the front of the locomotive, and actually if we go back to the front, it's kind of hard to tell. You might be able to see the plow is slightly off-centered. I didn't glue it perfectly centered, which definitely bugs me a little bit, but it turned out very well given how it looked when it arrived. But I got it for a great price. Now, the only thing that bugs me about this is that it's not the smoothest runner, it's not the quietest runner, but it does work well regardless. It does make its way around the layout just fine. But I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take the chassis from Vermont Rail 206, which includes the DCC and the sound, and I'm going to put it under this 305 shell and kind of get the best of both worlds and make a fully functional locomotive with the two. That's the plan for now. I mean, it could change, but I think I'm going to go ahead with that plan. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next locomotive. So up next is Green Mountain Railroad, number 400. And this is another Atlas model. This is an Alco RS1. This was actually a gift from my fiance. I think I got it last Christmas. She learned I was making a model railroad of the Green Mountain Railroad, so she went ahead and got this for me. So thank you to her. Now this is DCC and sound, and the sound is absolutely fantastic. I've run this a few times around the layout, and I absolutely love it. I think Alco RS1s are probably, if not most definitely, my favorite locomotive of all time. And of course it has to be, because if you're modeling the Green Mountain Railroad, you have to have the star of the show, which is Green Mountain Railroad number 405. Now this is a DC model, and I actually couldn't find any DCC sound models at the time when I began purchasing locomotives for the layout. But I think what I'm going to do, at least temporarily, is take the shell of 405 and put it on the chassis of 400 and kind of get the best of both worlds. And then eventually I'll add DCC and sound to the other locomotive so that they're complete. But I just love the look of 405. I mean, it's a phenomenal locomotive, and I can't wait to be using it every day on the layout. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at each piece of rolling stock individually. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so technically this package is already opened, but I wanted to start with this one and just give a little bit of a closer view of the Rivarossi coaches. So as you can see, the detail on these are very, very nice. I had never owned Rivarossi coaches before, but once I saw these on eBay, I knew I had to have them. This isn't technically the accurate coach style for the GMRC, but I just think they look so beautiful. And as you can see, if we just take a closer look here, I mean, the detail is very, very good. I mean, the interior is great. I mean, the underside here, you know, it's not the most detailed, but it, you know, for the price, I think it's a very good model. It's very lightweight. I think it's probably the only problem, but it's a very smooth runner, and it looks fantastic. So I'm very happy about this purchase, and I'm looking forward to getting a few more in the future. So this piece of rolling stock here is the only one that didn't come with a package, as I bought it used. at a train show back in November of 2024. So I don't actually know the manufacturer of this one, but it's a pretty standard boxcar. It's a 50-foot boxcar. We take a look. So this was actually the very first freight car that I bought for the layout, and I've been using it as a test car to test the track joints, the solder joints, as I've been building the layout, and it's proved to be a very valuable asset. It didn't really have any defects. I think I paid $8 or $9, maybe $10 at the most for this car. Actually, the only defect it really did have was this coupler here had an issue with the spring. But other than that, there was really nothing wrong with it. It's actually proved to be a very good purchase. So hopefully the glare from the plastic doesn't affect the camera too much here on these models, but we're going to go ahead and give this a shot anyways. So as you can see, I've got GMRC 701. This is a 50-foot cushion service boxcar by Athearn. So we're going to go ahead and unbox this one and take a look at it. Okay, so here's what it looks like out of the package. It's a really beautiful car. Let's bring it in a little bit closer here and take a look. So GMRC 701. It's a pretty nice detail on the bottom here. Yeah, I like the way this one looks. I like the color too. I think it's a nice simple paint scheme, but it works well. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, up next, got another Athearn model. Athearn ready to roll. This is GMRC 24182. Let's go ahead and open this one up and see what it looks like. So let's bring this one a little bit closer here. I really like the reddish brown color of this one. It's very, very nice. The detail on this one is a little bit simpler than the other Athearn model here, or the previous one that I showed rather. But yeah, it's still a nice car. I tend to go for the simpler colors, you know, simpler browns, greens, colors like that. I don't like anything that's too bright. It's just something I've always gone for. I do like to have them mixed in once in a while. I like to see something that's a little bit different, but I do like to go with something like this, just a regular sort of plain brownish reddish boxcar. Very simple, but I love it. So this is the sister boxcar of the previous one that we just looked at. So this is GMRC 24176. It's the same color as the previous one, pretty much identical. But we're going to go ahead and open this up and take a look anyways. As you can see, it's the same exact car as the previous one, and actually if we just go ahead and grab GMRC 24182, oops, we can get these to couple together. There we go. You can see the pair together. They're pretty much, well, they are the exact same car. I saw the pair together at the vendor table, and I figured, you know what, might as well get a couple of them. They just look so good together, and figured why not. All right, so here's another Athearn model. This time it is a CSX-T boxcar, or CSX railway boxcar. This is 142652. Wanted to mix it up, obviously. I didn't want to have all GMRC boxcars. Obviously, there's interchange freight coming in and out of the GMRC, so I figured CSX was a good way to go. So let's go ahead and open this one up and check it out. Okay, so the CSX boxcar is out of the package. Let's go ahead and bring it closer and take a look. So as you can see, it's just another standard 50-foot boxcar. I opted to go with mostly 50-foot boxcars. I figured that would be a safe way to go, especially on the sharper curves on this layout. I do have a few 60-foot boxcars that I'll introduce shortly here, but most of them are going to be 50-foot. So as you can see, it's pretty identical, or pretty similar rather, to the other boxcars. The detail on the bottom is just about the same. Same detail on the front and the back here. Again, simple paint scheme, just pretty much one solid color. But again, I really do like it. I think that this blue here is a really nice color. I think it complements the green on that green GMRC boxcar. I think that it complements that really, really well. And it's going to look great moving along the line. So up next on the rolling stock roster is this Burlington Northern 50-foot high cube boxcar BN287252. There was one issue with this boxcar when I purchased it, and that's that the weight on the inside of the car has come loose. So I'm going to have to go ahead and deal with that at some point. But I want to go ahead and get this car or this package opened up and check out the car anyways. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's bring it in here and see if we can take a look. This one is definitely a different color compared to the others. Very, very bright. But I like the contrast of this green versus the other. Definitely stands out. I think it'll, once it's weathered, it'll be toned down quite a bit. But the detail, very similar to the other cars. But looks pretty good here. Like it quite a bit. I figured having some variety between standard 50-foot box cars and high cube would be a good thing to have. So here's another 50-foot box car that's a little bit more fitting for the GMRC layout. I've got VTR 11300. Another simple paint scheme. Nice bright yellow color. Let's get this package opened and check it out. So this is another Athearn model. A lot of the rolling stock, particularly the box cars that I've purchased, are Athearn. This actually wasn't intentional. I just happened to be walking along different vendor tables at the train show, and at the end of the day, most of what I had collected turned out to be Athearn, primarily, actually. That and Atlas was the other big one. And I'll get into that when I show you some other rolling stock in a little bit. But as you can see, pretty standard, pretty similar to the other 50-foot box cars. The detail on this one, a little simpler than some of the others, but not too worried about that. Simple paint scheme. Love the logo for the Vermont Railway. Always really love that. Simple box car. Nice bright color. Again, add some contrast to some of the other colors, the browns, the grays, some of those more dull colors. But I think that this will look great going down the line. So this boxcar here is a little bit different than the other ones that we've looked at previously. This is a Walthers Mainline 60-foot high cube plate F boxcar. It's a T-box, a TBOX 661274. It's definitely different. Never had one of these before. Very excited to open this package up. Let's go ahead and take it out of the box. So here's a closer look at the T-box boxcar. Let's bring it a little closer here and take a look. It's pretty nice. It's got some pretty nice detail on it. I think the bright color will contrast some of those more dull colored boxcars that I mentioned previously. Never had one of these before, as I mentioned, so I'm excited to have this on the layout and run it. And I've never had any 60-foot boxcars either, so that's definitely new. But I think having the high cube and the 60-foot boxcars in combination with the 50-foot standard boxcars will definitely add some contrast and make the layout look really good with this rolling stock going down the track. Okay, so now we're moving beyond the boxcars. I'm going to start looking at some hopper cars that I've purchased. So this one is by Atlas. It's Canadian National IC 769578. Let's go ahead and get this one opened up. Let's take a closer look here. Another reddish brown colored freight car. It's a little bit on the lighter side, but not too bad. Liking it quite a bit. This is going to be used for Erskine Grain Garden. Here we have another covered hopper freight car, MWCX 460147. Let's go ahead and get this one opened up. Let's bring it a little closer here and take a look. This is by Intermountain. Detail on this is very nice. It's definitely a little bit more fragile than the other one. The grab irons and the handrails are a little more fragile. But the detail is very, very nice. It's on the lighter side, like the other one. But I'm liking it a lot. Some good roof details there. It's very nice. Set it on the tracks here. Alright, move on to the next one. So up next is a cylindrical covered hopper, ACFX 62808. This one I thought was new when I purchased it, but as I actually took a closer look, it seems that the couplers, at least the couplers, aren't new. The trip pins there, the coupler pins, have been snipped. This is something I actually didn't notice. Kind of hard to see them through the packaging. Looks like those were clipped. So we're going to go ahead and open this up, take a look, and see if anything else is different. So I've got the cylindrical hopper opened up now, and those coupler pins have definitely been cut. Just a little bit disappointing. Something I missed. It's not a big issue. I can certainly replace the couplers if I want to, but the couplers are fine. They certainly work fine. Let's take a closer look here and look at everything else. The rest of the car seems great. This catwalk here is a little bit warped, but sometimes that does happen. Looks like the rest of the details on this freight car here are fine, on this covered hopper are fine. It's got some nice detail to it. It's fragile, like the other one. The handrails and the grab irons are definitely a little fragile. But it's a nice model. This is also by Atlas. So once I get those couplers replaced, this should be fully functional. Here's another covered hopper, AEX 8499. This one has a similar issue to the previous cylindrical hopper. Couplers have cut trip pins or coupler pins. I actually did notice that these pins had been cut prior to purchasing, but I couldn't find a covered hopper that was in this color and had the AEX markings that didn't have the pins cut. So I went ahead and purchased it anyways and figured I could go ahead and switch out the couplers when I got around to it. I really liked the look of this covered hopper. I thought it would look good on the layout, so I figured, what the heck, I'll go ahead and purchase it. Okay, so the AEX covered hopper is out of the package. Let's take a closer look. I definitely love the look of this car, and it's got a great weight to it. The other ones are much lighter. As mentioned a couple of times now, I mean, I love the simple look of these types of cars. Just a solid color, no logos. I mean, this is a lease car, so it's a simple look. But I love it. I think it'll look great weathered. Just a lot of rust streaks on here. It'll look fantastic. I can't wait to get this weathered. Simple details, but it's nice nonetheless. Here's the last covered hopper that I've purchased. This is an Atlas model, AFCX 893296. This one is slightly different than the others in that this is a center flow pressure aid covered hopper. And this one's going to be used in conjunction with some other rolling stock that I've purchased. And I'll go ahead and show those after I open this box. So let's go ahead and open this package up and check it out. Let's take a closer look at it. I am really loving the look of this car. I love the logos on it. This is by far the heaviest piece of rolling stock I think I have on the layout. Really good weight to it. I love the detail of all these pipes down below. It's very nice. Very nice. Very happy with this purchase. Okay, so I have 4 of these clay slurry tank cars that I've purchased that go along with that AFCX covered hopper. And actually, this particular one here is a UTLX freight car. But the others are SHPX, and that's a 3-pack, and I'll go ahead and show that in a moment here. But basically, these clay slurry tank cars and the AFCX pressure aid covered hopper go together as part of a train that's comes from northern Vermont. From I don't know how to pronounce this, so forgive me if I butcher it, but I think it's pronounced Omia. There's an Omia plant. They make clay slurry products. I believe a liquid clay slurry, and then I'm guessing a powder form that gets shipped out in the covered hoppers. I could be wrong on that. I've only done a little bit of research, but I know that a lot of the freight cars that are shipped via the Vermont rail include these pressure aid covered hoppers and the clay slurry tank cars. Now, while I don't have an actual plant on the layout that would utilize these freight cars, it's still a major commodity that's transported. And something I mentioned in my very first video was sort of implying operations on the layout. And something I frequently saw in photos and videos was these cars everywhere, being transported everywhere. They were on every freight train that I saw pretty much. And I wanted to have these not only in the yard, but be able to imply that this was moving down the line and being interchanged with the Berkshire and Eastern. So I went ahead and purchased 4 of these and one of the pressure aid covered hoppers as well. I couldn't find a second pressure aid covered hopper. I do want to get one more. So the train would consist of 2 clay slurry tank cars and 1 covered hopper inbound, and then the same outbound, essentially, is what I was kind of visualizing. But that's the idea. So let's get this one opened up, take a closer look, and then we'll move on to the 3-pack. So the UTLX slurry tank car is out of the package. Let's take a closer look here. So I am loving the look of this car as well. And actually, I was quite surprised to see these shelf couplers on here. I actually didn't realize that these were included on these cars, which is very exciting. Never had this style coupler before on any models, so that's cool. Loving the detail. These handrails and all these little details along the sides and everything are definitely a little fragile. Gonna have to be careful of that. But it looks fantastic. Let's get it on the rails here. And moving on down the line. I had to take the camera off the tripod and zoom out a little bit just so you could see all 3 of these, but this is the 3-pack, the Athearn slurry tank cars. These are the SHPX cars. I'm going to go ahead and open up all 3. We'll take a close look at one of them, and then we'll move on to the next pieces of rolling stock. We'll take a closer look at this one here. Pretty much identical to the other one I was looking at previously. Similar details, just slightly different markings. Very nice detail though. These ones actually feel a little bit lighter. Could just be me. Does have the shelf couplers again, which is very nice. Fantastic models though. Very satisfied with these purchases. I think they're going to look great running on the layout. So it might be a little hard to see due to the glare. I have a light directly above me. But this is a 3-pack of TILX 25,500 gallon tank cars. And these are going to be used for ethanol transport from the ethanol transfer facility, or I should say to the ethanol transfer facility at the North Walpole yard on my layout. Let's go ahead and get the package opened and check these out. So I've got the ethanol tank cars opened up, the TILX tank cars specifically. So we'll take a close look at one of these here. These are definitely the most fragile out of any of the rolling stock that I've purchased. A lot of very thin details on these. I mean, the detail is extraordinary. Very well done. I'm definitely going to have to be careful with this rolling stock for sure. On the lighter side, doesn't have the shelf couplers, but I suppose that's all right. Really like the look of these though. Similar to the clay slurry tank cars. I've never had these either, so I'm excited to have them on the layout. Alright, so this concludes the introduction of the locomotives and rolling stock that are going to be used on my VTR GMRC layout. I wanted to finish this video off by showing all of the rolling stock connected or coupled together. So let's take a look here. Got the T-Box boxcar and the TILX tank cars coupled together. And as we move down the line, I've got the first 2 covered hoppers, the Canadian National and the MWCX. Got one of the GMRC boxcars and the Vermont Rail boxcar next. Moving down further, we've got the CSX and the Burlington Northern High Cube boxcar. As we keep going here, got some more covered hoppers. There's the ACFX cylindrical covered hopper and the AEX covered hopper. And as we keep going, we'll see the Rivarossi passenger coaches in the back. Then I've got the AFCX pressure aid covered hopper and the Green Mountain orange boxcar there coupled to that. Got another Green Mountain and GMRC boxcar coupled together there. And then lastly, we've got the 4 slurry tank cars coupled together. As you can see, I've got some of the locomotives on the ethanol storage tracks, and then the VTR locomotives just along the back wall there. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed. As mentioned previously, I'm going to work on another layout update as soon as I finish off a couple of projects. So be on the lookout for that in the near future. Thanks for watching.